Welcome to the wonderful world of Philodendron, which happens to be my favorite genus of tropical plants. Now, the word Philodendron means tree hugger, pretty much. But if I break down the word in Latin, philo means to have love for, dendron means trees. So if these plants love trees so much, do they really make good house plants? Well, my short answer is yes, because if you keep in mind that they prefer to grow up or around trees, then your care is going to be a little bit different than what the big box stores or nurseries suggest. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Dave. Welcome to Aroid District. In today's video, I want to show you all some of my philodendrons as it pertains to some unconventional care tips. And then that actually sounded pretty good. So my vocabulary has been getting a little bit extensive because I've been reading these comic books, and when I do these videos, I'm starting to notice that the way I explain things is starting to change for the better, actually. And yeah, I'm kind of proud about that. But I mean, don't get it twisted. I still embrace my Ebonic dialect and my slang words, but I've been reading, okay? But yeah, I'm gonna show y'all my philodendron collection. Let's talk about some of the care tips that a lot of people don't really cover, some unconventional care tips. And who knows, we may do some plant chores, or I may even throw in a project, who knows. Let's see what today is really talking about, but stay tuned. So let's talk about color. Now, one of the many reasons why I like philodendron is because of the variety of colors and textures that these plants have. Let's take this philodendron red Anderson, for example. This is not no paint. It's not a man-made design on this plant. This plant has some type of virus or mutation that causes all of these colors, and collectors like me and probably you, it's just become something that's quite sought after, producing all of these colors. I don't mind colors on my plants. Like this right here is crazy. But let's talk about the Philodendron Anderson. Now, some of y'all may think that it looks just like a white knight or a pink princess or whatever, but no, I'm gonna tell you that this is not created equal to those plants. I feel like this plant is a bit superior. It grows better in my experience. It looks better. It's like the stem has a nice little swirl and color on it, and the variegation on these leaves, you get a lot of different things going on. This leaf right here has some black and gray and all kind of colors going on with it, and I feel like that's the reason why this one I think is better than the pink princess, the white knight. There's a few others that look like this, and this is more of my color palette right here when it comes to a variegated plant like this. As far as care, when it comes to this red Anderson, this red Anderson does not need high humidity. There's a lot of philodendrons that do not require the high humidity once they get to at least a medium size. Sometimes when they're young, the leaves will have a little bit of issues coming out of the petioles, and they kind of get stuck and whatnot, and that's because of the lack of moisture. Sometimes you do gotta spray it down. I spray mine down. If my leaf gets stuck inside of the sheath, I spray it down with a neem oil solution, because the neem oil mixed with the water, it provides a little bit of that oil to break down the adhesive, and then the leaf will just kind of slip out and come out perfectly. And that's what I've been doing with this one while it was small, and now that it's medium size, I grow it downstairs here, or I think for a couple weeks I even had it outside where the weather is kind of dry, but it still does well, So once they get to a medium size, it does not require high humidity. I just water it and let this media dry all the way out. That is just how I care for these arubescens species types. There's a lot of these, the white princess, pink princess, strawberry shake, red Anderson, they're all the same species, just with different variegations, and they pretty much have the same care. But I will say this red Anderson is a little bit more vigorous with growth, so that makes it just a little bit more easier. We still talking about color, so let's look at both of these. This is the Philodendron strawberry shake. This is the Philodendron white princess. These are the same plant. These are the same species of plant, just with different variegation, you know. So with this Philodendron strawberry shake, I grow this one outdoors on my patio table, and it's doing very well. But I would say my first unconventional tip for growing plants like this is a prolific climber. So even at this smaller size, put it on some type of support right away. If you put like some type of moss pole, or for instance, this is a cocoa squire pole, this plant will start to recognize that solid support behind it, and these leaves will actually jump past a juvenile stage and it'll go into like a mature size leaf. So that's the cool thing about philodendrons. When you give them some type of support, the leaf shape will actually change. So it will go from this, you see this paddle shape, and then it'll go into like a large size arrow shape on the leaves once it starts to recognize that it has this support. So I'm not sure exactly what happens with these plants, but when you put something behind it, whether it's a wall, a moss pole, or a tree, they have like some type of hormone that can recognize the support. When the node is up against this support, it does recognize and it'll jump into maturity very quickly. So even if they small, like this one, I need to go ahead and put on a pole because it's not growing in a neat pattern like this one, you know. But if I was to put this on a little stick, moss pole or something, then this one will probably get really huge and it'll start to change shape. So go ahead and hook it up. Like do your philodendrons right. Get them a moss pole, a stake or something. Easy to come by. You can do what I do. I have videos where I've picked up sticks off the sidewalk and use those as supports. So I mean, get creative, you know. But yeah, this is the strawberry shake and white princess. So let me tell y'all about Billie Jean. Y'all remember I had that philodendron Billietier. It was quite small and it was growing pretty fast. I had that plant since the year 2020, and she grew pretty quick, never gave me no problems, other than the fact that she started to grow a really large wingspan and was kind of taking up too much space. So I think a couple videos back, 2 or 3 videos back, I decided to put Billie Jean outside so she can grow up and be somebody. Well, I wasn't ready. I was not ready. So what I want to do now is bring Billie Jean back inside so I can monitor her throughout the winter. I just don't feel like I want her to put up with those cold temperatures through the winter. So I'd rather just get her settled now while I'm doing this video. I want to repot her, bring her inside, and be able to monitor her. I'll probably stick her outside on the warm days and then just bring her back in when I feel like the nighttime is getting a little bit too cold, you know. So that's what we're gonna do now. Let me show y'all Billie Jean. So this is Billie Jean right here. She has grown beautifully, a little tilted to the side because of the way the sunlight was hitting her. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and bring her inside and repot her. She has these long aerial roots that are just extremely long. I'm gonna have to address that, do something about that. Yeah, I've had this plant since the year 2020, I believe. And another reason why I decided to bring her inside is I just had a flashback. I remember I drove 2 hours away down to San Diego to purchase this plant, you know. That was a lot, and I paid a good price for this plant because it was very popular at the time, and I really wanted it. And you know, so I decided to go ahead and drive down there and purchase. I actually purchased her from, I think it was a lady who has a YouTube channel. I don't forgot her name, but yeah, I purchased it from her, and you know, this is what she's doing. So let's do Billie Jean right and set her up in a new pot. So do y'all think Billie Jean is ready for something like this? So I found this pot on sale at Home Depot. It was it's an 18-inch pot. This is what the label looks like, but it's 18 inches and it has like this little base like this, and it'll be like that. So it's, you know, it's off the ground so that any leaves that hang below will not be touching the ground. I wanted something that was a little bit elevated, man. Being that this was on sale, I felt like it was a good choice. So I need to cut some drainage holes into this, or drill some holes into this, and let's see how this works out. So I've been going back and forth to Home Depot or Lowe's quite a bit, just because I got a lot of other work that I'm doing, especially with my other property and whatnot. But I just wanted to tell y'all that's the perfect time to go by the garden section and see what type of pots or materials that they have on sale. Because if y'all don't know, you know, once these big box stores start to get into the holiday season, they trying to put out all of that Halloween and Thanksgiving stuff in the stores. Sometimes they want to get rid of the spring materials, like a lot of those pots and whatnot. They want to make room for all of that holiday stuff that they really make big money off of. So that's the perfect time to go through the garden section at the Home Depot and the Walmart and Lowe's and whatnot, and see what they have on sale. But speaking of big box stores, I need to talk about the soil that comes in a lot of those plants when you buy them from the big box stores. A lot of nurseries will sell their plants to Home Depot, Lowe's, or what have you, and they'll use that peat moss. I do not recommend peat moss for philodendrons. It doesn't work for me. And yeah, if you actually listen to some of the things I say, I will say peat moss is like a no-go. It works out well for the nurseries just because they got a big open space and they're using like a shower system that that is conducive to using some type of peat moss. But peat moss is some complete bullshit. Like if you bring that into your house, it attracts pests, it gets hydrophobic, it can rot the roots. There's a lot of things that can go wrong with peat moss, and I don't think it's a natural potting media that's good for most philodendrons. I think when it comes to ferns and whatnot, if you keep that peat moss moist, it'll work out well for like your fern type plants or even some begonia. But with philodendron, I say get it out of your house. Some nurseries will actually ship you plants with peat moss, and I've heard the stories about how lizards have popped out of those, and you get all kind of pests and even some rodents and reptiles that have laid eggs into that peat moss. Peat moss is not good. It's not even sustainable. It's bad for the environment that they're even selling that peat moss. So yeah, I don't recommend it. That's my spill on that. Let's take this out of the pot. Look, speaking of pests, this plant has been living outdoors for some months now, so I gotta be careful to see what's living inside of this pot right here. But yeah, a chunky mix is the way to go. Oh look, I already see a snail that came out on this little piece of cardboard. It's a snail down there, a slug, what have you. But yeah, a chunky mix is the way to go. So if you can get some soil and mix in a lot of perlite and rocks, that's gonna like really be good. Like that, the leca, pumice, like something that will not break down, works really well. When you add a lot of bark, just know that the bark does break down. You know, I've had bark in like big pots, and then if you kind of pick up the bark, it'll crumble into mud. So when it comes to a smaller pot, I'll use cocoa coir or bark, but for a larger pot, probably not. I'll probably try to use more perlite and leca, something that does not break down. So the roots do look healthy. They're nice and light colored. I don't see no rotting going on. But yeah, I'm about to do something that you all may not like. I'm about to sacrifice some of these lower leaves on this plant, just so I can make the plant a little bit more neater and it can look more upright. So Yeah, y'all might not like it, but I know what I'm doing. So let's cut a couple of these the lowest leaves off. Can help give this plant a little, see, it already has a lot more structure just off of me doing that. And then I'll repot it to where it looks pretty centered. And the trick to growing an even plant is to give it the top down light. This plant used to sprawl out all sideways because there was not enough top down light. But when I put this one outside, then I started to get leaves that, you know, stick upright. So this is the mix that I decided to make. I had to be resourceful. Y'all know that perlite is normally the cheapest, so I used a hell of a lot of perlite just because it's like $4 to $5 a bag for that. So I used a lot of perlite. I used leca, and I put in a handful of regular potting mix, like a patio potting mix or whatever. It doesn't really matter what brand, that's just to help bring the moisture. So leca, perlite, a little bit of vermiculite, and just some handfuls of the soil, and you have a nice loose rocky mix. That's what I want to use for this, being that is going to be a very large size container. All right, y'all, so I found this palm tree branch outside. I'll tell you a little story about how I acquired this. Like, I was in a drive-through at Chick-fil-A or something like that, and then, you know, inside of the store landscaping, they cut down some palm trees and they had this little branch just laying to the side. So I hopped out of the drive-through, picked it up off of the ground, and I put it in my car. It looks crazy, right? I think it looks cool, but some of y'all may think it looks nasty. I had plans on using this for like some type of Hoya setup, because, you know, I like to get creative with the Hoyas, but I think I'm gonna use it for this Billietier. How about let's try that? So my plan is, I got me a terracotta pot that kind of fits this. I'm gonna stick this branch into the terracotta pot so it can be a base, and I'm gonna just plant this right into this planter, and this will be the support for this Billietier. Billie Jean is gonna get her tree, like I just said. Philodendron, they love trees. They like to be in the environment to where they can use a tree as a support. And we'll see if any of these long aerial roots that she has attached to this. I think that'll be cool. Let's see how this turns out. So I pulled y'all in a little bit closer so y'all can see what I'm doing. I put this little palm tree stock inside of this terracotta pot. And then I kind of just sat it down in the pot. And this is all going to be buried. But I need to make sure this is stable. So I got me some jute wire or something like that. And I want to try to attach this to the palm bark so that yeah, maybe everything will get stable after I tie it to it, and start to fill it in with this. Oh, what's going on? All right, so we'll go ahead and tie a knot. I was hoping that the jute string wasn't noticeable, but we'll see. I didn't want to use any of that Velcro strap or whatever. I wanted this to look as natural as possible. So I do have me some gravel. I keep a big bag of gravel. It costs about $5 from Home Depot. And this is heavy. This is heavy. I want to use this to stabilize the terracotta pot that's holding this stock up before I fill it in. So do y'all kind of understand what, you know, what I'm doing? So mind you, this terracotta pot does have drainage. So when I water this whole thing, you know, everything will flow out of the pot, all the water. So hopefully the rocks down there can provide some stability. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save the rest of this for closer to the top to help stabilize it up here. So we got some stabilization at the base, and then we'll have some stabilization higher up, and that'll be that. So for now, I'll fill it back in with some soil. So as you can see, I filled this up. I stabilized it with a lot of gravel on the top. By the way, this gravel is made from quartz. You do not want to get any type of gravel that's made from lime because it will make the pH in the soil too high for tropical plants. Tropical plants like slightly acidic or what maybe even neutral. So this is made out of like quartz. So this pea gravel is should be okay. If you ever want to test it, just pour some vinegar over the rock. If the vinegar starts to bubble up, then this may not be good for your soil. If the vinegar has no reaction, then it should be okay. But yeah, I'm gonna finish this off by top dressing it with the pea gravel and we'll be all set. Okay, so we got Billie Jean all set up. I must admit, I like the way that looked. The whole display with the rocks and that little palm tree branch that I picked up, I've been holding on to that little branch for a half a year already, and I'm glad I was able to use it with something. But let's talk about the Billietier for a minute. That is an amazing philodendron. Like, it goes to show you, you got philodendrons that have like that bright color petio and just that Billietier with the unique shape that it has. But I'll tell you this, the whole takeaway from that species of plant is it grows best when you give it top down light. And a lot of times that's hard to do inside of your house because normally the light is coming in at the side. So the plant will kind of grow in a weird way to where it's trying to reach for that light. But when you have bright light outdoors that's just coming from, from top down, then the plant grows in a more neater pattern or what have you. So you got to think about that, especially with crawlers. Crawlers will stretch out all kind of different ways to go to the light. But if you give it top down light, if you have some type of LED that's hanging from a pendant and it can provide a good, vortex of top down light, then there you have it. Okay, let's move on to texture. So I really like philodendrons because they have all kinds of different textures. When it comes to the finish on the leaves, you got glossy, leathery, suede, velvet, and even the petioles have different textures. So I have a couple plants that I want to pull up on and I want to show you when it comes to talking about texture with philodendron. So this is my philodendron squamiferum checking in. I got this one from Home Depot. It's a little Home Depot come up. And when it comes to texture, the main feature on this plant is the petiole. Check that out. It has a bristle-like texture, and one cool thing about that is it also has an ombre effect. Look at how it's red and then it kind of fades into like a green and yellow bristle-like texture. So I know some people do not like this texture, but I feel like it's pretty cool. And then if you look at the shape of the leaf, that's unique. It has like a glossy finish to it. When I bought this plant from Home Depot, it already had this coir pole and it was already attached to it. And that's like the main thing that grows a strong philodendron, is if it's able to attach to a solid surface. So, when you get your plant, make sure you get it some type of support to put on there so it can grow big. And you'll see that, look, you get these type leaves, you get those immature leaves, and when it attaches, let me show you the immature shaped leaves. And then very quickly when it attaches to this pole, the leaves get bigger, starts changing shape, and then eventually you'll get like a mature shape like this as it grows up that surface. Now, one thing I want to tell you is, I guess this is a tip. I wash this plant often. When you have these glossy leaf philodendron like this, I decide to wash it every other watering. So I take it outside and I'll spray it down with like a neem oil solution. Let that sit on there for about 30 seconds. And then I'll rinse it down with the hose. And that way it'll keep all the dust, keep any pests off of these leaves so they can stay glossy and immaculate, And then that little bit of neem oil in that solution will provide a little bit of shine and protect the plant from you know, pests and whatnot. But yeah, that one is growing pretty good. And that's the Squammy Fern. Texture. So this right here is a hybrid. It's a little burnt up from the heat, but it's coming together. All right. This is a Philodendron serpens crossed with varicosum. We have the latest leaf on there, but check out the texture on these petioles. It has that bristle-like texture as well. Look at that. Ain't that crazy? And this hybrid is pretty easy to take care of. I think you got to keep it out of the heat. And it likes mild weather, like, you know, in the 70s and low 80s. If it starts getting up to 90, this was inside the greenhouse and it hit like close to 100 degrees and we start to get discoloration on the leaves because of all of that heat. But yeah, it's bouncing back now that it's cooling down and we're getting perfect leaves all over again. But that is the serpens crossed with varicosum. I really like that plant. So yeah, what I want to do is a little rapid fire. I want to give a few of these philodendrons just a good little 10 to 20 seconds to shine. So let's get into it. So this here is a nice little Florida beauty, crazy variegation. This plant right here does not need high humidity. I think the most important thing for it is that it needs good light. So like morning direct light or like a strong LED will definitely do this plant some good. But yeah, let that potting media dry out a bit. And yeah, this one just climbs very easily. It doesn't need all that wet moss. Florida beauty. This one right here is a Philodendron ruizii. One of the easiest rare philodendrons you can get. If you get one of these and it is acclimated to your house, this is just very easy. It is a succulent type philodendron. Like the stem is really thick, the petioles are thick, and the leaves are thick as well. So this plant can really take an underwatering, like I just noticed. Like you can't go wrong with this plant right here. It's easy to take care of. Just give it a pole, like I said, so it can get big and mature. Now this one is a Patriciae crossed with ruizii. Now I'm scared of the Philodendron Patriciae because that comes from the El Choco region. That's like the wettest place on earth. So I figured that that plant needs way too much humidity and moisture. So I decided to get this hybrid. They crossed that Patriciae with something that's a little bit more succulent and hardy. So this is just a cross. So we'll see how this matures up now that I put it on this bendable pole. We'll see how the leaves mature up. And I think these leaves will end up cascading a bit more than the rigid leaf on this ruizii. We have Philodendron atabapoense. This is a top cut, so the leaves are more mature. Has a very deep colored red back. That's crazy. But another propagation, have y'all seen this plant when it gets good light? I mean, the top color on it is crazy. It's very unique. I need to take y'all outside to show y'all. Hold on. So if you see here, it has a minty silver color. Look at the color on that leaf. It's like silver but mint, and then the back is just bright red. Yeah, so when these leaves get big, I think it's, I don't know, if y'all ain't got one of these, then y'all tripping. That's just a little bit of sunburn, but overall, man, the color on this plant and the way that it emerges, pretty dope. So last, I want to talk about the underrated and the overrated philodendron. Some of these philodendron, they get expensive. And truth be told, some of the more expensive philodendron just do not look as good as the least expensive philodendron. So when it comes to underrated, I'm going to say the Philodendron 69686. That is a very underrated philodendron. The pattern that it grows in, it is a prolific climber. It is a hardy philodendron. It grows in most conditions, whether it's dry, hot, cold, it doesn't matter. That plant just grows. I grow it outdoors just because I know it can take those conditions. You know, when it gets really hot or at night when it gets really cold, that plant could stand the test of time, you know. And just that bunny ear shape and the way that it climbs neatly, I feel like it's a philodendron that a lot more people should consider trying to get, you know. Another underrated philodendron would be the summer glory. That is a very affordable plant, and the way that it emerges with that crazy salmon color that it has, I think that is striking. Now, that plant is a hybrid between the Macaulay's finale and gloriosum. So it does have a gloriosum shape, but it has those pink veins after it turns from that orange salmon color down to the green. The pink veins will still stay there. So yeah, that's a striking plant, easy to grow for me. I grow it outdoors. As you can see, it flowered and all of that. So underrated. Now, overrated. Let's talk about that, what is it, that UPI. Yeah, the UPI is a little bit overrated if you ask me. That plant was just crazy expensive during the time that I got it, and it just grows like a mess. Like, you know, it just, the petioles stretch all everywhere, and I just feel like the 6'9" just looks a lot better than that one, you know. So I'm not too hyped on that philodendron. It's pretty cool. It has this unique little shape to it, but yeah, I picked the 6'9", 6'6" over that. And the last overrated philodendron would be the almighty Spiritus Sancti. Now, I have two little juvenile Spiritus Sancti. I did cut that plant up to propagate more of them, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it. That plant is like, it's overrated. I feel like the Attabopoense looks a lot like it, but it looks even better. Like, what are we doing here? I gotta be real. That plant is overrated. It looks very plain and simple if you ask me. It doesn't really climb up. I really can't really figure it out. I will say that it is easy to take care of. I grow that one outdoors as well, and it can take a wide range of temperatures. It does not need crazy high humidity, and that's all I gotta say about that plant. It ain't even all that, to be honest. Up until it gets mature. I've seen some mature ones that are, you know, pretty spectacular looking, but as of now, I'm not excited yet. I'm ready for that plant to change my mind. So thank you all for stepping into the wonderful world of philodendrons. There is a few things I want you to take away from this video. One is wash your plants. You know, with these philodendrons, you got to wash them off. That is very, very important. To knock off the dust, to prevent pests, you need to spray it with some type of solution of your choice. I use a you know, my own personally made neem oil solution. It's just pretty much water, neem oil, a little bit of alcohol, and what else I put? Dish soap. Shake that up, spray your plants down, and then rinse it off with water. Simple as that. Another thing is, give your philodendron some support. A pole of your choice, whether it is a wooden plank, a choir pole, a bendable pole, or one of them nice elaborate moss poles, they all work well. But one thing, everybody cannot be Sydney plant guy. Like, I'm gonna tell you, this man got the best looking plants that I have ever seen, but I'm not about to have all of them damn big ass rabbit cages all over my crib like that. I can't do the big moss poles with that wire cage. That's just not my thing. You know, I don't really like the look of it, but I do like the look of his plants. Like, he has the best looking plants, like hands down. But if you just give it any type of support, you can get bigger leaves. Like, that works well enough. So don't think that you have to do everything one way when it comes to caring for your plants. Do your own thing, experiment, and have fun with it. So that's pretty much what I want you to take away from this video. So, off-topic question of the day. My off-topic question of the day is, what do you think about profanity? Now, I cuss. Let me just, y'all probably know I cuss. It's a lot worse when I'm not on camera, but yeah, I use profanity. That's just what it is. That's just the truth. And, you know, I grew up in a Christian household, so, you know, we didn't really cuss around our parents and stuff like that. And, you know, I was kind of taught that if you use profanity, that is a sign of immaturity. But, you know, when I became an adult, I kind of figured that using profanity was a sign of freedom. You know, that was a sign of freedom. But it is problematic if you do not know how to communicate any other way. So I work in a very professional environment, so I have to be really professional most of my day. So when I am in the comfort of my own home, I want to talk the way I want to talk. So I'm gonna let them words fly, and it's not out of anger. And most of the time I use profanity just when I'm being silly, you know. And in the comfort of my own home, I'm gonna speak the way that I want to speak. I figure it's a sign of freedom. It's a sign of me being in a comfortable space, letting my hair down, and just being myself. When it comes to YouTube, I tone it down. I'm not about to light y'all up, you know. But truth be told, I do use profanity. I don't see anything wrong with it. Obviously, I don't want to offend people, but I still got to be me at the same time. You know, I don't see any harm in doing it as long as you're not hurting anyone or you're not influencing children or something like that. I feel like it ain't nothing wrong with it. So y'all got to tell me what y'all think. Tell me what you think. Enlighten me. Maybe I can learn something, you know. So hopefully everybody is doing well. Happy planting to everybody out there. And I need to thank Sean from the YouTube channel Green Man Grow 7, because he did give me these Philodendron Royal Queen Majesty. Bro, I've been propagating this plant a lot. I got about 3 of them in this cup, and I got a couple more out there outdoors. But I'm ready to take one of these propagations and grow this one up so it can start maturing up. But thank you for that. And that's all I got for y'all. Till next time on the next video. See y'all later.